Good evening and welcome to the Daily News Roundup. I am Abigail Smythe. Coming up in this evening's newscast, nearly 1,300 murders committed in Jamaica since the start of the year. Woman found decapitated inside her house in St. James. Police constable shot and injured in downtown Kingston. Police Federation wants life sentence for persons confronting members of the force while executing their duties. In business, 12 ships loaded with grain leave Ukraine. In the region, travelers from the Cayman Islands becoming collateral damage. They could face difficulty entering the U.S. On the international scene, rapper Takeoff shot and killed. In sports, former Hydel High School sprint hurdler Karika Hill nominated for World Athletics Female Rising Star of the Year. Now for the news in detail. Nearly 1,300 murders have been committed in Jamaica since the start of the year. In the latest Jamaica Constabulary Force statistics on serious crimes, as at October 29, a total of 1,294 homicides have been recorded, 92 more when compared with the corresponding period in 2021. The 5 police divisions with the highest murder rates are St. James with 178 murders, Westmoreland with 125, St. Catherine North 121, St. Andrew South 119, and St. Catherine South 104. Portland has the fewest murders with 10, a 38% reduction when compared to the same period in 2021. Shootings, injured persons, and rape have also declined. Robberies have increased by 21%, while break-ins have gone up by 9%. In 2021, a total of 1,463 persons were murdered. A woman identified as Michelle Gail Brown of Retirement St. James was found decapitated inside her house Monday evening. The 53-year-old is suspected to have been attacked by her mentally ill adult son. When Gail Brown failed to turn up to work in Freeport, it aroused suspicion among her co-workers, who requested that the police conduct a check of her house. The check resulted in her headless body being found inside the house. Her head was later found wrapped in a towel inside the kitchen. The body also had chop wounds with both arms partially severed. Investigators believe that she was murdered between 8 p.m. on Sunday and 4:30 p.m. on Monday. One neighbor recalls that the son was acting strangely Sunday evening. He said the man was making strange noises and was shouting, which he says was out of the ordinary. The suspect surrendered to the police at the crime scene, emerging from a dark road with his hands held in the air. He was handcuffed and placed in the back of a police van on location. Residents who shared that they had a good relationship with the deceased have been left traumatized. Her family too remain in shock. A man was shot and killed by gunmen in Pimento Hill, Germantown, St. James, Monday night. He has been identified as 19-year-old Joshua Swaby of Maroontown in the parish. The police report that about 9 o'clock, residents heard explosions and raised an alarm. On arrival of the police, Swaby was discovered face down in blood with multiple gunshot wounds to his upper body. He was transported to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The decomposing body of an unidentified male was found Monday morning in the waters of Port Royal in the vicinity of the old naval base. Residents saw the body floating in the water sometime after 10 o'clock and summoned the police. The body, clad in a blue jeans and a pair of black sneakers, was removed by the Marine Police. The police have not yet determined the cause of death. A police constable is now nursing gunshot wounds after being attacked by armed men in downtown Kingston Tuesday morning. He is said to be in stable condition. Reports are that shortly before 9 o'clock, the constable was in the vicinity of the Central Police Station when gunmen traveling on a motorcycle fired at him. It's understood that the lawman may have been citing a motorist for a traffic violation when the incident occurred. This is the third attack on lawmen over the last 2 weeks. 2 other policemen were shot and killed in separate incidents since October 16. Constable Brian Martin, attached to the St. Andrew Central Police Division, was killed at a wake in Frog City in the Maxfield Avenue area, St. Andrew. 5 days later, Corporal Oliver Mullings was gunned down in the Kingston Western Police Division while on duty. He was among a team of officers who responded to a call from residents in the area when they were attacked by gunmen. It has been reported that gunmen made an attempt on the life of one of Dudus's sons in Tivoli Gardens in West Kingston Sunday night. This resulted in a shootout between gangsters in the community. It is understood that several men, said to be from a nearby community, descended on Tivoli in an effort to kill the man who is said to be one of the leaders in the community. Residents said the men traded bullets for several minutes before the invading gunmen fled the community. Head of the Kingston Western Police Division, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, confirmed there was a shooting in the area, but said the police are still investigating to determine the motive. The residents could not say why the men targeted Dudus's son. Dudus, whose given name is Christopher Coke, was the area leader for West Kingston before he was captured on an extradition warrant and taken to the U.S. and convicted on drug-related charges. He is currently serving his sentence in a U.S. prison. A 31-year-old man of Castleton District in St. Elizabeth has been charged with murder. Ricardo Cold Spring fatally stabbed a man in Braze River District in St. Elizabeth on Sunday, October 23. Dead is 30-year-old Kemar White, a higgler of Grosemond District in the parish. Reports are that about 10 p.m., Cold Spring and White had a dispute when he used a knife to stab White in the chest. White was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The accused was charged after giving a caution statement and undergoing a question and answer session. And a British national has been charged with rape after trailing a woman into her hotel room and had sexual intercourse with her against her will at a hotel in Hanover on Tuesday, October 25. He is 29-year-old Dewey Games, an electrician from South Wales in the United Kingdom. Reports from the Lucy police are that at 8 p.m. the woman was at the main pool of the hotel when she asked Games and his wife to lend her a charger. Games offered to assist but insisted on carrying it to her hotel room. Upon reaching the room, the suspect said he wanted coffee. Games then allegedly pushed the suspect face down on a bed and had sexual intercourse with her against her will. A report was made and the police were alerted. On Friday, October 28, the suspect was positively identified on an identification parade and subsequently charged. His arraignment is scheduled for the Lucy Parish Court on Wednesday, November 2. Chairman of the Jamaica Police Federation, Corporal Rowan James, is calling for a life sentence to be imposed on persons found guilty of confronting members of the force while they are making arrests. Corporal James says there has been an increase in the number of cases of persons resisting arrest on the urging of bystanders calling for violence against the arresting officers. He believes that a life sentence will deter persons from assaulting police officers in the execution of their duties and send a stronger signal that law enforcement is to be taken seriously. The corporal asserts that the police act as a buffer between law-abiding citizens and those who decide to break the law and create mayhem in the country. He adds that these lawbreakers cannot continue to be treated with kids' gloves while the level of crime and violence gets from bad to worse. He states, quote, We have to treat with it head on, and that is why it requires our Prime Minister to get real tough and to even emulate aspects of the Singapore Prime Minister's utterances. You have to lead with an iron fist, end quote. In the meantime, Director of Jamaicans for Justice, John Clark, argues that a life sentence for such an offense would be too extreme. Mr. Clark, who is also a defense attorney, says police officers need to be equipped with skills to de-escalate conflicts and should make greater use of body-worn cameras. According to Mr. Clark, in many instances where persons are captured resisting arrest, they can be heard asking the police why they are being arrested, but the officers do not reply. Mr. Clark argues that the law recognizes that citizens have a right to be told the reason for their arrest prior to being detained, and that if the police is doing a lawful arrest, then the citizen must comply. And in response to a call from the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP Paul Llewellyn, for human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice to educate the public about not resisting arrest, he says the JFJ has already been conducting community workshops in relation to citizens' rights and the engagement of the police. He adds that they also have a radio program which it uses to discuss these issues. However, he still believes both citizens and the police need education. Mr. Clark further states that the DPP's recent comments that the police are, quote, getting baskets to carry water, end quote, gives the impression that it is the citizens who are the problem and the citizens who need education and not the police themselves. Mr. Clark says the DPP should be more careful in her statements, as they could be interpreted that her office is biased towards the police. Retired Chief of Defense Staff Rear Admiral Hardley Lewin is rejecting suggestions that there is a widespread culture of sexual abuse within the Jamaica Defense Force, JDF. His comments come amid reports that 16 female members of the military have come forward to accuse a senior officer of sexual harassment, assault, and rape. Despite the 16 allegations of sexual harassment against a single senior officer, Lewin is not convinced the force has a widespread problem. The senior officer, who has not been named, has since been recalled from military training overseas to face the allegations. Rear Admiral Lewin says the current allegations are isolated incidents. The retired Rear Admiral says in his 36 years of service in the JDF, he heard only whispers of sexual assault in the force. He says when he assumed command of the military, he received only one formal complaint of harassment and abuse, and adds that the matter of sexual harassment should not be seen as unique to the JDF. He says the problem exists as part of larger problems in the society and points to similar allegations in the British Navy. He says he's confident the current Chief of Defense Staff, Rear Admiral Antoinette Wemyss Gorman, will confront the issue head-on. The government's gun amnesty is set to take effect this Saturday, November 5. The amnesty is being launched ahead of the new Firearm Act coming into force. The new law will introduce mandatory sentences of up to life imprisonment for certain firearm-related offenses. The amnesty will allow those with illegal guns to turn them in at police stations across the country. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says this will last for 14 days. He says the amnesty is intended to provide a fair opportunity for those who may have inadvertently come into possession of an unlicensed weapon to turn it in to the police. He says those who may have unlicensed weapons but who do not have criminal intentions should turn them in. The minister says the government does not expect that hardcore criminals will willingly hand over their weapons. Dr. Chang adds that weapons handed over will be tested to ensure they have not been involved in criminal activities. Reggae singer Savannah is facing a prison sentence of up to 5 years after she pleaded guilty to death by dangerous driving in the Westmoreland Circuit Court on Monday. She will be sentenced on November 17. The 30-year-old singer, given name Anna Blake, was charged following an accident last May. She was traveling along the Scott Cove Main Road in White House, Westmoreland, when the Honda City motorcar she was driving collided with a Honda Fit going in the opposite direction. Ardia Cordiel, who was a passenger traveling in the Honda Fit, sustained severe injuries and was admitted to the Black River Hospital, where she later died. Savannah's brother was also injured in the accident. The singer was represented by attorney-at-law Everton Doa, who didn't comment on the plea as the matter is still under judicial consideration and therefore prohibited from public discussion. The National Identification System NIDS team was awarded by the Inter-American Development Bank IDB for its handling of the project. NIDS received awards for both Planning Accuracy 2021 and the Best Performing Project Executing Unit 2021 for the implementation of Program for Economic Growth. The IDB also provides tools to aid in tracking the progress of projects and their use of funds. The Project Implementing Unit is also executing several programs across government, such as Operation Birthright to provide free birth certificates to the undocumented. The unit is also digitizing records at the Registrar General's Department from the 1930s at a cost of $4.1 million and the upgrading of the government's data center. Program Director for NIDS, Dr. Warren Vernon, says NIDS will be implementing more projects. And in business news, the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, is warning Jamaicans of a scam being circulated via social media, suggesting the bank is offering a financial grant. The central bank says the message dubbed Bank of Jamaica Support Grant is fake. The BOJ says anyone who may have been a victim of the message or who can assist in locating its source should contact the police. It highlights that when the bank publicizes grants and scholarships, the public will be informed via their website. Ukraine says 12 ships loaded with grain left its Black Sea ports on Monday despite Russia's withdrawal from a key deal facilitating exports. A senior Ukraine official said one of the vessels with 40,000 tons of grain was for Ethiopia, which faced the real possibility of mass starvation. Ukraine earlier accused Russia of blackmailing the world with hunger. Moscow pulled out from the deal after a drone attack on its Black Sea fleet in the annexed Crimea Peninsula. The UN said 3 ships carrying 84,490 metric tons of corn, wheat, and sunflower meal left through a humanitarian sea corridor set up in July. The corridor, brokered by Turkey and UN, was seen as a breakthrough that would ensure Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia receive grain and other food from the Black Sea region during Russia's war in Ukraine. And in the region, travelers from the Cayman Islands are becoming collateral damage in the renewal of Cold War hostilities between Cuba and the United States. The Cayman Compass reports that any Caymanian who has visited the communist island since January 2021 could face challenges getting into the United States. It notes that some reports indicate that people who have visited Cuba at any time since 2011 could be ineligible for the U.S. ESTA visa waiver program, meaning they will find it significantly more difficult to travel to the U.S. It means that instead of a 10-minute $21 online application for a visa waiver, they will have to apply for a full visa and travel to the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica for an in-person interview before being eligible to visit the United States. The restrictions are a result of former President Donald Trump's decision to designate Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. The Compass says it has received reports from local travel agents of Cayman residents who have been barred from the ESTA program after arriving in the U.S. directly from Cuba. And on the international scene, American rapper Takeoff, one-third of the rap trio Migos, was reportedly killed in an early morning shooting at a bowling alley in Houston. According to TMZ, the 28-year-old rapper, given name Kershnik Kari Ball, was playing dice with fellow groupmate Quavo and others when an altercation broke out. It is reported that Takeoff was shot in the head. He died on the scene. Police sources and other eyewitnesses say that the incident occurred around 2:30 a.m. 2 other people were also reportedly injured during the incident. Quavo was unharmed. From video footage obtained by TMZ Hip Hop, Quavo and others were gathered around Takeoff's body and tried to move him but stopped. Quavo then yelled for someone to get help. Takeoff was the youngest member of Migos, which was a family group with Quavo being his uncle and Offset his cousin. The group came together in 2008 in Georgia and created their first major hit, Versace, in 2013. Later in 2016, they hit #1 on Billboard with Bad and Bougie. And the Biden administration is moving forward with an overhaul of several student debt forgiveness programs, aiming to make it easier for borrowers to get relief if they are duped by their colleges or if they put in a decade of work as public servants. On Monday, the Education Department finalized a package of rules that it proposed earlier this year. The new rules take hold in July and are separate from President Joe Biden's sweeping student debt forgiveness plan, which has been held up in court amid a legal challenge from Republican-led states. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona called it a monumental step that will make it faster and simpler to get debt relief. And in sports, former Hydel High School sprint hurdler Karika Hill has been nominated for the 2022 World Athletics Female Rising Star of the Year award. Hill's nomination comes on the heels of her sensational performance at this year's staging of the World Athletics Under-20 World Championships in Colombia. She won gold in the women's 100-meter hurdles and stormed to a world under-18 record, championship record, and a personal best time of 12.77 seconds to claim the top spot. In addition, she was a member of the gold medal winning and record-breaking 4x100-meter quartet, which included Serena Cole and Tia Clayton. They claimed gold in a new under-20 record of 42.59 seconds. She also won the Class 2 girls 100-meter hurdles in a record of 11.16 seconds at the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships in April. The last time a Jamaican was nominated for the award was in 2019 after Brittany Anderson clocked a time of 12.71 seconds to break the under-20 world record in the women's 100-meter hurdles. And that's it for the news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe. See you next time.